So after Matthew Vaughn and company came by to reboot the X-Men series and send it in a new direction, Fox decided to move the franchise forward with a sequel to X-Men 3, The Last Stand. Fox, did you forget how reboots work?
No. Yes.
You feel that? That's what honesty feels like.
Either way, we have a second stab at a Wolverine movie called The Wolverine. Loosely based on the comic of the same name, this movie follows Logan's adventures in Japan. The book by Chris Claremont and Frank Miller is a very well-known comic book in the community and is definitely a must-have. But where the book was a simple character-driven story, the movie adaptation isn't. Now, I'm not saying that a movie should follow the comic book verbatim. We've had great movies that only take ideas from the comics that they're based on. But when it comes to the Wolverine, they probably would have been better off if they did follow the comic. In this movie, Logan has isolated himself in Canada, haunted by the guilt of killing the woman that he loved, Jean Grey. This could rightfully be considered a writing error since the theatrical version of X3 showed him staying at the School of the Gifted, ready and willing to teach and train the future X-Men. But the Wolverine more closely follows the alternate ending where Logan returns to Canada. And to be fair, this is one of the better parts of the movie. Him struggling with his guilt, his self-hatred, and his doubt. His visions of Jean Grey are a direct manifestation of that. Constructs of his own mind keeping him in a state of depression. And that's really what Logan's journey is all about in this movie. Overcoming his depression and guilt, realizing that he is more than a killer. He's a protector that will work to save those who can't protect themselves by any means necessary, even those who have wronged him. His sense of duty never left him despite the condition he is in for most of this movie. This would set the tone for the third spin-off movie, which we will address in a future video, whenever I can get it past YouTube's copyright system. So even though this movie has a really good character arc in it by way of the main character, the rest of the movie is really the problem. If you look up convoluted in the dictionary, this movie would be amongst the list of films referenced as an example. As I said before, the plot of the original comic was simple. Logan returned to Japan to protect the woman he was once in love with. Here, Logan is brought to Japan to send off an old friend from Nagasaki, Ichido Yashida, but it turns out that Ichido wants Logan's healing power. Logan obviously refuses, not wanting someone to go through what he's gone through. So what does Ichido do? He fakes his death.
What?
Then there's this whole elaborate plan to send the Yakuza after Mariko, Ichido's granddaughter, which turns out to be the plan of Shingen, Mariko's father, because he wants control of the family business. And this is fine, we can work with that, but there's also the other issue of the ninjas that appear to be helping Logan, only to reveal that they're working for Ichido, who's obviously still alive, and they want to kidnap Mariko in order to lure Logan in so that Ichido, in his Shredder cosplay, can steal his powers, and the ninjas want Mariko unharmed because Harada, their leader, is in love with Mariko. And
why?
And then I go too fast. I go too fast. I did a flyby.
Yeah, by the end of this movie, all you can do is ask,
was that really necessary?
Now let's look at that again. We have Ichido who wants Logan's powers. Logan refuses, and Ichido tries to take them by force. That's a movie in and of itself. You have Mariko's life being in danger after Ichido dies and Logan has to protect her. That is a movie in and of itself. You basically have two movies going on side by side, and it becomes a mess because there are too many characters, too many plot lines, you're not sure who's working for who, and you get enough twists to rival a James Bond film, and not the good ones. Sure, you get some good action scenes out of it, Yukio's a pretty badass character, and we do get a good performance from Hugh Jackman as always, but it isn't enough to get over the convoluted mess of a story. Don't get me wrong, it isn't as bad as X-Men Origins, but it's not a huge step up either. I personally can't recommend this movie. Unless you're doing like an X-Men movie binge, this movie is unfortunately completely skippable.
You don't want what I've got.
I wanna take you for a